Most teams build their projects using due dates, but they forget the one thing that actually tells people when it's time to start working on a task. Yes, due dates are important and they keep the project moving, but it's dependencies that actually alert you when a task you've been waiting on is ready to go. Without dependencies, work gets stuck. Teammates have to chase each other for updates and deadlines start to slip because nobody really knows what is blocking what. In this video, I'll explain how to use dependencies to make these task relationships more visible and how you can use the notification system to keep everyone up to date. Let's go. First, what are dependencies? To illustrate, here is a project that I'm working on. Actually, this is a template that I'm building. And I have a bunch of tasks here that outline how we implement Pipedrive for one of our clients. Pipedrive is a sales CRM. So I have this task here, write a design document, and you can see the dependency that I've already created. This write design document task is blocking this task client design review call, which actually I have underneath here. And on this task, we can see the reverse relationship. So this client design review call is blocked by write the design document. So every time you create a dependency, you're establishing a relationship between two tasks where, let's just say, Warwick is doing this one and I'm doing this one. Now, as if I'm sitting here, I'm ready to work on my task, I can look at this first and go, okay, I'm blocked by this one here, and so I need to maybe follow up with Warwick and be aware when he finishes his task, because only when he finishes can I actually do my task. And these dependent relationships, I think, are a lot more visible and easier to look at in the timeline view. You can create a timeline or a Gantt chart to visualize when tasks start and finish like this. Here we can see the same tasks, Warwick's, and the little arrow showing his is blocking my task here. And you can see through this entire project, I've linked tasks that are dependent on one another. Creating dependencies is easy. When you create your task, you simply, in the dependencies area here, add the dependency, search for the task like design reports dashboard, and then you can establish this task is blocked by or blocking. Blocked by being this task has to be completed first because this task is blocked by it. You can also choose in this drop-down menu the specific type of dependency. So the default, which you will most likely use the majority of the time, is finish to start, where it's basically saying when this task finishes, this one can start. But you could change it to finish, which would mean when this one finishes, this one is able to be finished. Or you could say start to start, so when we start this one, we can start this one. Or finally, when we start this one, we can finish this one. As I said, most of the time you're going to use finish to start, but whichever option you choose here, this will determine and change how the dependency will look in the timeline view, which we will see in a bit. I actually find creating dependencies is quicker and easier in the timeline or the Gantt view. So if I zoom in a little bit here, you can simply hover your mouse on a task. Now, if I grab the top left dot and drag it backwards onto a task, I'm basically saying this task that I dragged it onto is blocking this one, and I can just click my X there to remove it. Or if I grab the bottom right dot and drag it onto another one, I'm basically saying this task has to be done before this task can be completed. Quick pro tip. So that you don't have to create these dependencies every time you build a project, I recommend adding dependencies into a template, like I'm doing here. So I'm building this project as a project first, I'm setting up all my dependencies, and then later I will save the project as a template. If you've never used templates before, check out my related video, which I will link up here. And this is a great way of saving time, and every time we've shown this and implemented this for one of our clients, they love how much time it saves them and also how much more visibility they get into how projects are progressing and what is blocking what. If you would like to get more help with Asana and unlock capabilities and powerful features like this, then click the link in the description below to book an introductory call with our team, and we can explore how to help you get the most out of Asana. Now, there are a couple more options and features to be aware of. Firstly, if you are assigned a task that is blocked by another task first, if you try and complete your task, Asana is going to warn you and say, hey, you're still blocked by a different task. Are you sure you want to mark this as complete? So that's quite nice. It's a nice little fail-safe built in so that you don't accidentally complete things. Now, if you're going to work in this timeline view, which does work really well for dependencies, in your options up here, there is a dependencies settings section, and you can enable the critical path. What's that? The critical path is basically Asana looks at the very last task in the project based on due date, and it identifies the longest chain of dependent tasks. So the last task is actually 2 tasks here. This one is dependent on this milestone, which is dependent on this milestone, which is dependent on this task, this milestone, and we follow the golden line all the way back here. So it's actually helping you to identify what are the most critical tasks, what's the critical path to get you to project completion. And it helps you to weight the priority or order of different tasks in which you should handle them. And finally, in your project settings up here, you'll also find some dependency options. And this is where you can decide how you want dependency date shifting to occur. So the first option here is you can choose to maintain a buffer between tasks. And you can see in this little animation, if you shift a task out a little bit, the buffer in between can either be maintained for downstream dependent tasks only or for all dependent tasks. So leaving that there. Everything stays, the buffer in between tasks stays connected. Or if you've had a delay in the project, so you shift the task back, maybe you want to consume the buffer because we want to catch up. So let's consume the buffer in between our tasks. And finally, you can just say, don't do any of this. I want to be able to shift a task and that not impact any downstream tasks. There's no right or wrong answer here. I usually find consuming buffer is best. And so with that turned on, let's say I shift this task back a little bit here, you can see the dependent or connected tasks shift along with it and the buffer is lost in between. So this is really nice because a change to one task can actually have a knock-on effect to all of its dependent tasks. And finally, one of the best things about using dependencies is that if a task that is blocking your task gets changed, you will get notified in your inbox. So here I'm being told Warwick changed the due date on the blocking task, this one, to July 31st. So I now know my client design review call one, which is blocked by Warwick's one, I might need to go and review that date now. It's good for me. It's nice that it's good for me to be aware of that change, and I can adjust accordingly. And when the dependent task is completed, you can see I've been notified again. So this one is now marked as done, and I can see here you can get started on this task, my client design review call one, because it's no longer waiting on other tasks. I can show the completed dependencies here. I can see that that one is now done, and this is great. I'm ready to get started. The notifications alone is one of the reasons I love dependencies. I kind of picture like running a relay race and my teammate comes up behind me, passes me a baton, and I grab it and it's like, go, get to the finish line, it's your turn now. Anyway, that's the image that I get in my head, but it solves a real problem. Now, I don't have to chase my team for updates. Have you done this yet? Where's this at? Why isn't that getting done? You can look at the dependencies and see where the blockage is happening. I hope you found this video useful. If it was, give it a like. It's the best way to support this channel. If you have any questions, drop me a comment down below. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.